want to welcome you guys to my channel, UCEHITTP or Mafua. All my social handles are here, and today we're going to be going over the only trading / psychology journal that you're going to need. Promise you, it doesn't matter what strategy, it doesn't matter what concepts, it doesn't matter who you are, what you do. You could even apply this to stuff that's not even a part of your trading. I'm going to be going over benefits of journaling, why you should be journaling, taking some accountability, point out your flaws, and try to work around combating them. All right, this will be done as a slideshow presentation. I've never been the type to do this, but seems like the easiest, most simplest, straightforward way to do it. Starting off with our first thing is you're not too cool to journal. Understand that you're not too cool to journal, bro. I get it, bro. I get it. You feel like a fucking nerd when you do it. You feel like a dweeb. You don't feel like doing it. Yeah. But I promise you, you not journaling is you also not taking accountability. You're not tracking data. And in all honesty, you're holding yourself back. I'm letting you know right now, you look at any single millionaire day trader, you look at anyone that's successful in day trading and in life, and they have some kind of system that they journal with. All right. So just make sure you understand that. First things first, before we get into the actual system, we want to go over what is the purpose of a day trading journal and psychology journal, right? One being tracking data. You might have took an L today, but 3 weeks ago, you might have took the same trade, and for the same reason, you took the L. But without tracking your data and being able to look back at your trades, you would have never knew that there was a flaw there. Tracking data is going to show you that you're improving, you're not, and then being able to track your emotions. Tracking data, tracking emotions, pattern recognition, they all fall into the same category because they all complement each other, right? Tracking data, as in tracking your trades, tracking your emotions that you feel when you're in the trade, pattern recognition, right? Being able to look at the trades that you took before and understand what pattern do I keep making? What is the same mistake that I keep making over and over again, right? And what do you get out of that is strategy refinement, looking at the mistake and being able to make a pivot and make a change from there. And another purpose is accountability. Holding yourself accountable is going to be the most important part of trading, and any trader will tell you this. It's 90% psychology, 5% technical, 5% execution and management, okay? And alongside that is reflection, being able to look at yourself in the mirror, your mirror being your journal, and being able to see it and get a grasp of what you are as a person, not just as a trader, but as a person. Are you impulsive? Do you revenge trade? Things of that nature. And then alongside that is honesty, being honest with yourself. You do not want to uphold this own image of your head that you're better than you really are. You need to be real honest with yourself and understand that, okay, I'm a shitty trader. You could admit to yourself that you're really not that good as you think you are. You will see progress quicker. Everything on this list complements each other one way or another, regardless of how you think about it. Now we understand the purpose of a trading journal. We're going to go into what a digital trading journal should look like. It doesn't have to be the exact same way, an exact replica of how I journal, but how I personally do this. And I will leave this in the description of this video. This is my old mentor's journal style. His name is Harry or Trade Sharp. You want to check him out. I learned his strategy and this is what I teach. I'll also link his channel below. This is his original Google Doc. I just turned it into my own. Here you have what kind of setup is it. If you only have one setup, you can delete these. Doesn't matter what, these are all the pairs. If you want to put replace one of these with your own, you can. All right. You have the trade date, the pair, the entry time frame, the profit in pips, right? Or you could make this dollars. It doesn't matter. Was it a buy or sell? What kind of setup was it? Which you could change them here. How much did you risk? An image, right? I'll explain that in a minute. Instead, what I did for notes, instead of writing notes, I put the time that the trade was taken, okay? Now, what are these, right? What is this link? And it's an actual journal trade, right? You're on TradingView, or it could be on Top Step, or it could be on whatever it is. But what you want to do is get your entry. Did you short? And you want to give a brief explanation of what the trade is. This is just a simple, brief explanation. Doesn't have to be too complicated. You make it as complicated as you want. When it's a good trade, you want to it's going to be the same thing every time. But let's say it was a bad trade, right? 5-minute S2, which is my setup with 1 minute change of structure, mixed bias, already had a good win. I over traded. In this case, it was an over trading thing. You make sure that you point out what flaw did you make. Yeah, you might have had all your confluences, but what mistake did you make in the trade to make you lose, right? If you did everything right, then the journal of the trade should be super simple. And over time, you get data like this, right? Where I could look back at all of these trades and see where I made the same mistake. Another example is this trade here. If you actually pay attention here, this is the exact same trade. But because this a week prior happened, I took an L on it. I was in this trade. I'm like, okay, this is the same exact trade that I took last time and I took a full loss. Let me get out, right? And this is where refinement comes into play. Now going back to the presentation, I'll leave mine in the description if you want to use mine, and you could adjust it, tweak it however you want. There's a bunch of free journaling docs online. You could find them anywhere. The required details for your digital trading journal should be your time frame and setup, your reasons behind your trade, your confluences, your profit or loss or point gain / loss or ticks, whatever you want to call it, the time that you took the trade, point out any missing confluence or any reason that you might have lost. If it was an A+ setup and you took it and there was probability that you lost, then it won't be that complicated. I followed my rules, I did everything right, and it was just a loss. Future reference, if you keep losing in the same way, not you taking emotional decisions, then it's probably something within the system. All right. Next is your win percent calculator. This is pretty simple. It's just wins, losses, break evens. You could calculate it yourself. You don't need to have one in your trading journal. It just makes it easier just to have one. All right. So boom, we went over the benefits, the reasoning that we journal. We have our digital trade journal. If you need to rewind any moment during this video, don't be afraid to take your time. I know I'm going through everything pretty rapid, but I know everyone's attention span is like fucking like this. Okay. So going into our next section, I need you to identify 3 to 5 weakest points of your trading, right? An example of these can be FOMO, rule breaking, revenge trading, hesitation, impulsiveness, over leveraging, moving stop loss, etc., etc., etc. Okay? I need you to write this down on paper. What makes you lose the most trades? All right? What's your biggest flaws? And you need to be honest with yourself. Don't be afraid. And this is exactly what I have in my trade journal, right? My 4 biggest flaws are not following rules, not taking A+ trades, being impulsive, and not managing properly. Okay. Everyone has flaws, right? You just need to point out what's affecting your trading the most. Okay. Now that you've identified what the problem is, you need to understand that it's your fault. You need to come to terms with yourself, understand it's your fault, and the market does not care for your feelings, bro. All right. Whatever you may be feeling as an emotion, when you exert that and you make a decision that affects your financial situation or your account or your prop firm or your prop account or your eval, it's on you. Okay. That's the beauty of trading, right? Everything is revolved around your decisions, but you're also the one that could raise your life up or bring it down. You need to understand that whatever decision you make, regardless if it was a system, regardless if you did everything right, it's still going to be your fault, right? Because you chose that system. There's always going to be a probability at the end of the day. You could do absolutely everything right and still be wrong. No matter what it's going to be, you need to blame it on yourself. Doesn't matter. Whatever it is, there's no one else's fault. It's not your manager, it's not your boss, it's not your friends, it's not your family. When it comes to trading, it's all on you, okay? And now that you can see what I'm getting at and you're understanding what I'm saying, we'll move on to the next section. Your pen and paper journal. You're gonna have a digital journal to track your trades, but you're also gonna have a pen and paper journal. This is gonna be mainly your psychology journal. So first things first, right? You can see an example that I have here on the right. First things first is limit how many trades a day that fits to your strategy. I don't care if you're a swing trader, I don't care if you're a scalper, intraday, doesn't matter. I need you, and this is going to be on you. How many trades can I take in a day without it negatively affecting me? For me, it's 3. Giving myself 3 trades forces me to isolate only 3 good trades. I used to trade 5 to 6 times a day. You know what happens when you give yourself that many shots? You start settling for worse options, right? When you force yourself to take 3, in my case, and you actually stick to that rule, it forces you to look at only the trades that are going to be high probability, all right? That's just my case, but I need you to be responsible enough to be able to identify what's a good amount of trades, and it's going to be up to you to stick to that. And what I need you to do now I need you to take your 3 to 5 worst attributes and turn them into questions. So the same way I told you, my worst flaws are not following my rules, not taking A+ trades, being impulsive, and managing properly, right? As you can see here, I'm not sure if you can, I'll zoom in for you if you can't see it. My handwriting's kind of shit, I'm sorry. But you turn it into a question, right? Did I follow my rules? Yes. Was this an A+ trade? No. Was this a trade impulsive? No. Did you manage properly? Yes. And you want to turn these into questions, right? I have 3 trades. I mark out every time I take one. So then that way, after you take that trade, you're straight to your digital journal and you're straight to your paper journal, and it gives you time to reflect. As soon as that trade ends up in a win, break even, or a loss, you're going to your journal, you're doing it digitally, marking down if it was win, loss, or break even, a general summary of what the setup was and what time and things of that nature, and you're going to your paper journal. Did I follow my rules? Okay, did I do this? Did I do this? And did I do this? What this forces you to do is sit there and realize, right? Before you hop in another trade, before you impulsively make another decision, it's forcing you to sit there and look at your mistake. Of course, I kind of glanced over this, but answer honestly. I mean, common sense. Answer yourself honestly. Don't lie to yourself. I promise lying to yourself will only drag you further back, okay? And then last things last, for your trade journal is a trade summary. Example of a trade summary, as you can see here, okay, this was a 15-minute setup. Stops were in a proper place and all my confluences were there. No emotions were used and I did not touch the trade unless it followed my trade/management plan, okay? Cool. Simple, right? That's best case scenario. You followed all your rules, win, loss, or break even, and you didn't touch the trade unless necessary, okay? But in a world where it was a loss, you need to answer those questions honestly, and in the summary, explain what were you feeling? Okay. In the case where I lost and maybe it was some FOMO, this was a 15-minute setup. Stops were not in a proper place and my confluences were not there. I did use emotions and I did touch the trade when I was not supposed to. And I did not follow my trade / management plan. Okay. And what this does is it gets the weight off your shoulders, gives you realization. It gives you time to realize your mistake before you hop into your next trade. Every single time you take a trade, first thing you do as soon as it hits one of the 3 options is your journaling. You need to make that a non-negotiable every single time. Your mind is a muscle that you have to make this a daily thing that becomes second nature to do every single time. Now going into the next section, what are the benefits of being consistent? Pretty self-explanatory. But I'm gonna go over it anyway. You are only slowing your progress and data every time you don't journal. You are only slowing yourself down every time you don't journal. Every single time you don't journal is another piece of data that you could have used for your future, right? Every time you don't journal your emotions is another reason for you to relapse on the same thing. You will start to notice patterns of your trading. Like I said earlier, if you start making mistakes, it gives you on paper undeniable evidence that there's a pattern in your trading, whether it be a hiccup, emotional, a systematic thing, whatever it may be. It gives you something to look back on, pattern recognition, so you don't repeat the same mistake. Very, very, very important is you are now getting rid of the dream that you keep selling yourself, okay? I had this problem too. I get it. You subconsciously think that you're better than you really are, and you sell yourself this dream that maybe it's going to work this time. Maybe it's going to work this time. Maybe it's going to work this time. No, I promise you it's not. Without taking accountability in every single way possible, you're selling yourself a dream. Why do you think there's people that's been trading for like 9-10 years and they're still not profitable? You want to know why? Because they keep holding on to this thought that maybe it's going to change. It's not, all right? And finally having undeniable evidence if you're doing something wrong or right. Like I said already, if you're doing something right, it's going to show. You're doing something wrong, it's going to show. Next. Effects of being inconsistent. We looked at the upsides of being consistent. Now let's look at the downsides, right? Like I just explained, you will forever be on a loop of hope. You will always hope there's going to be something different when at the end of the day, you're running in circles, right? Another one is no data to prove your system works. You will not have data to look back on to make improvements from. You'll have a loss of motivation. Regardless if you're doing good or you're doing bad, you'll end up in a burnout, right? You'll end up in a burnout. You're going to get tired of being so consistent to the point where it'll burn you out and you don't even want to do anything anymore. And you'll get tired of losing so much to the point where you want to give up. Which one would you rather be? All right. That's your decision. Next, you're going to have a lingering ego. What is that? What is a lingering ego? Like I said, it's pretty much the same idea. So it's pretty much subconsciously thinking that you're better than you really are. Approaching the charts thinking that you're better and maybe something's going to be different when it's not. No progress. It's self-explanatory. You will not have no progress if you don't take some accountability and put some journaling within your system and your everyday life, okay? Now that we're done with the whole system, the ups and the downs of not journaling and journaling, I just want to give you guys some self-belief and self-encouragement, okay? I was the same way, all right? I had a smoking addiction, a porn addiction, overeating addiction. You know what I mean? I had all these things and I'm not afraid to admit it because of the place that I am at now, right? To be able to show you guys that you can make a difference. I've been in your position before, right? Maybe it's not the exact same, but I promise you I've been along the lines of the problems that you're facing. I know what it feels like to instantly revenge trade, FOMO. But I promise you, you need to have some self-belief. I want you to want it bad enough to get up and do it, okay? Everything's gonna come with time. I don't expect you to take this and be able to turn shit around and do everything I'm telling you in the next day. I want you to make an effort to prove to yourself that you can be better. You don't want to be 100% better in a day. You want to be 1% better every single day. I want you guys to step into your next day with some kind of intention. If you're not getting 80% of the shit done, at least get 20, okay? Don't make it a 0% day. Don't ever let it be a 0% day where you don't do anything. That 0% is going to drag you closer and closer to being negative. You do not want to see what negative looks like. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys took some education out of this, learned something new. Hopefully you guys can apply this to your trading or maybe your personal life. I would really appreciate a like, subscribe, comment, notifications, whatever you guys can do to show some love. I stream Asian Session if you guys want to tune in. I'm also on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. You're watching on YouTube, obviously. But I also have a series where I'm documenting my journey. Without further ado, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. May whatever you believe in bless you, and peace.